Welcome back. This is it, the final part of our series. In part 1, we saw that these incredible models are, at their core, just very, very good next word predictors. Then, in part 2, we saw how they map our world, storing meaning not in words, but in a galaxy of numbers. Well, today, we're putting it all together. We are opening up the black box to see how an AI actually makes a decision, in real time.
All right, let's just dive right in. Here's our roadmap. We're going to start with the probability game. That's really at the heart of everything. Then, we'll see how the AI acts like a detective, focusing its attention. After that, we'll look at how it chooses a word using a little bit of controlled chaos, why that can lead to some confident lies, and finally, how we build smart, reliable systems around this powerful, raw brain.
So, first things first. To really get what follows, you have to wrap your head around the single biggest shift in how AI works. We are moving away from a world of hard-coded, logical rules and into a universe that is built entirely on statistical likelihoods.
This slide just lays it out perfectly. Think of old-school AI as a truth machine. You ask it a question, it just goes and searches a database for one single hard fact. An LLM? Totally different. It's a plausibility engine. Its main goal isn't to be factually correct, it's to sound right, predicting what word would most plausibly come next based on the trillions of examples of human language it's already seen. So, and this is absolutely the crucial point, the model isn't thinking in English. It's not thinking in any human language at all. It's navigating that wild, high-dimensional map we talked about last time, that galaxy of numbers, where words like king and queen are neighbors, not because of some dictionary definition, but simply because the raw statistics of our language constantly put them next to each other.
So, when you type a prompt like, the cat sat on the model is not looking up cat facts. No way. Instead, it runs the numbers. It generates a probability score for every single word it knows that could possibly come next. And in this context, based on all its training, the word mat is the statistical heavyweight. It's the 85% favorite. This isn't logic, it's a game of pure, unadulterated odds.
Okay, but a prompt is obviously more than just the last word. So how does the model figure out which words in your request are the real clues, the ones it should actually be paying attention to?
Well, the answer is this incredible mechanism called attention. It's the model's navigator, just like this slide says. You can think of it like a detective's magnifying glass, scanning across your entire prompt and assigning an important score to every single word. It lets the model zero in on what truly matters to get the context right.
And it does this with a really clever system: query, key, and value. So here's how it works. Let's say you have the sentence, the cat sat on the mat because it was warm. The word it basically shouts out a query, asking, hey, who am I referring to? Every other word holds up a key, kind of like a name tag. The word mat has a key that fits the context of warm, so its value, its meaning, gets passed over to the word it, and boom, just like that, context is created.
But here's the catch, and this is a big one for anyone writing long prompts. This attention isn't infinite. Models have what's called a U-shaped attention span. They focus really intensely on the beginning and the end of your prompt, but details that are buried in the middle often get ignored or just plain forgotten. It's the lost in the middle problem, and it's absolutely crucial to remember if you want to get the best results.
Okay, so the model has its big list of probabilities, and it's used attention to refine those odds. But there's a problem, right? If it always picked the number one most likely word, its answers would be so boring and predictable, totally robotic. So how does it actually choose a single word and still sound, well, human?
Let's use an analogy here that I absolutely love. Imagine an ice cream shop where every flavor is a possible next word. Based on what you've said so far, the model knows vanilla is the 80% favorite. It's the safe, popular choice. But if you only ever serve vanilla, your shop wouldn't be very interesting, would it? To be creative, you have to at least consider chocolate, or maybe even strawberry.
To handle this, developers use a setting they call temperature. And you can think of it exactly like a creativity dial, or maybe even a risk knob for the AI. It directly controls how much randomness gets injected into that final word selection. Now, what's really fascinating on this slide is seeing just how much this one knob changes everything. You keep the temperature low, the model is cautious, predictable, it sticks to the highest probability choices. You get vanilla. But crank that temperature way up, the model gets adventurous, maybe even a little chaotic. It starts giving more weight to those unlikely options, and suddenly, you might just get garlic diesel.
Now, to prevent total garlic diesel chaos, engineers use other guardrails.
Top K is like telling the model, hey, only pick from the top 5 most likely words and ignore everything else. It's a hard limit. Top P is a bit more sophisticated. It's like saying, show me the top options until their combined probability hits 90%, then just stop. It's a flexible shortlist that cuts off that long tail of truly bizarre choices.
And all of this leads us to the most famous and definitely the most misunderstood behavior in AI, the hallucination. But I want you to try and reframe this in your mind. It is not a bug, it's not a glitch, it's a direct logical consequence of the AI's design. It's the system working exactly as intended, producing a beautiful, confident lie.
So why does this even happen? I mean, we have this unbelievably powerful model. Why doesn't it just say, I don't know? Why does it invent a scientific study or a historical quote with such absolute authority?
Here it is. This is the crucial point, maybe the most important one of this entire explainer. The model is optimized for linguistic plausibility, not for factual truth. Its entire job is to create a sequence of words that sounds right, that feels correct, based on the patterns it learned from the internet. It has learned what confident, authoritative text looks and sounds like, and it mimics that pattern perfectly, whether the facts underneath are real or not.
And the research backs this up completely. This slide is just fascinating. It shows how a model's stated confidence can be a terrible guide to its actual accuracy. I mean, look at Quen 2. It reports 76% confidence on average, while it's getting things right less than half the time. You have to remember, a model's confidence is a performance. It's a stylistic choice. It is not a signal of correctness.
So, if the raw language model is this fluent, creative, but fundamentally unreliable narrator, how on earth do we build real, dependable products with it? Well, the answer is we stop treating it like an oracle, like some brain in a jar. We start building a complete system around it.
This is the big mindset shift. We have to stop treating the LLM as a database to be queried for facts it knows. That is a losing game. Instead, we use it as a powerful reasoning engine. We give it verified, real-time information from a source we trust, and we ask it to reason about that information.
A modern, professional AI system looks a lot more like this. The LLM is just the engine at the core. Then you add RAG, that's retrieval augmented generation, which is like giving the model an open book exam with today's newspaper. You add guardrails, which are a safety net to check its work, and an orchestrator acts as the project manager, running the whole show.
And this brings us right to the most important takeaway of this entire series. The real magic isn't in the raw model. A standalone LLM might just be a stochastic parrot, brilliantly mimicking patterns without any real understanding. The magic is in the thoughtful architecture of the system built around it. LLMs don't truly think, but a well-designed system can reason with incredible reliability.
So by understanding these core mechanisms, probability, attention, controlled randomness, we move from being mystified by an AI's fluency to being empowered by its capabilities. The goal is no longer to ask an oracle for answers, but to skillfully wield a powerful new kind of tool. And knowing how to use your tools, well, that's where the real power lies. Thank you so much for joining me for this series.